What's good, everybody? It's Jordan. Come back at you on a video. So this video is going to be all about curiosity, and I want to remind you guys to never, ever, ever lose your childlike curiosity. So by childlike curiosity, I'm referring to literally like the curiosity that little children have and babies have, right? Their desire to learn about the world around them. Now, I have a small note written on my phone, and I'm going to read it to you guys about this. So it says, never lose your childlike curiosity because the desire to learn stems from not knowing or not understanding. As most people get older, they begin to think they know it all and stop learning. So, if we think of children and babies, for example, they operate with a supreme level, a heightened level of curiosity. And that is because they're new to the world, right? They were just brought in, whether they were born several weeks ago, months ago, years ago, right? And so they operate with a level of curiosity because they simply don't understand the world that they're being brought into, right? It's all brand new. And they're operating from a place of wanting to understand, of wanting to know. So because of it, they end up grabbing things. They're accustomed to pushing buttons. They just want to experiment, right? Because it's their way of collecting information and gathering data to learn the world around them, right? And it's a natural instinct for them to do, right? This is one of your most powerful gifts that you were given, because that same childlike curiosity, because it was part of your early experience, right, of being human, that means it still exists within you today. That means you can tap into that all the time, and you never ever want to let go of that, because that curiosity is what can truly propel you forward in life. I say all this because for a lot of people, when they grow and get older, right, when they go through school and then college and then enter the workplace and are like actual adults, right, that's when people's curiosity typically begins to fade away, because they are now adults and they have all of these responsibilities, all these things that gotta get done, and they just don't feel as though they have the time to learn anything new. And they just feel as though because they're grown, because they're mature, that they already know everything, that they've already been equipped with all the information that they need to have, and that they don't ever have to go out of their way to seek information. And it's just unfortunate that that's how things are, because what you need to remember is that for a lot of people, they live their life experiencing a certain set of problems, and typically those problems linger for years, if not decades, in their lives. And that's not a normal thing that should happen, right? Because problems shouldn't be lingering, because whether you want to believe this or not, there are solutions that exist to virtually every single problem that we have. And these problems that we have are never actually problems, right? Because they can always be solved. They can always work itself out. And regardless, seeing something as a problem is just perspective, right? Because something that someone might see as a problem, someone else might not, right? That's just how it is. So no problem is ever actually a problem. It's the perspective that someone has that they will see it as a problem rather than it, not being a problem, right? So you get this. So that's about perspective. But regardless, people can face these situations and have these things bother them for decades, even though there's answers that exist, there's solutions that exist. And when you grow, become mature and become an adult, right? Like, to me, that's still not it's never good enough excuse to just say that you don't need to, to believe that you don't need to learn anything, that like you're good and you can just continue on with life, right? Because there's still so many questions that you'll have along the way. There's so many things that will come up, situations, circumstances that you want to learn about, that you want to learn about yourself, that you want to continue learning about the world around you, that, right? Like, things are always moving and changing so fast, but because people are not learning, they're remaining the same. And that is problematic, because if the world's advancing but you're remaining the same, then you're not staying in the same spot. You're actually moving backwards because the rest of the world is moving forward. Get me? So this is why you never want to lose your childlike curiosity. You always want to be open to learning. You always want to be open to reading, because like as you continue reading, as you continue learning and growing and investing in yourself, right, you become better. And as you become better, the better you are, and like the better you become, the more confident you are in your abilities, the more confident you become in your own skin, and the more you begin to believe that you are valuable, that you have value that you can provide and offer to the world. It's sort of like the better you get, the easier your life becomes, because you can bring out more and provide more to the world itself. So your world begins changing as you become better. And you can only get better by constantly being curious, by constantly learning. By when you read new books or you come across new ideas, you are effectively operating with an open mind. You're accepting like, hey, I might not have all the answers, or maybe I might have some, but not all. But or maybe I might have the answers, but is this, the most efficient way to do things, right? Like your mind is going to be like, you are going to be thinking, right? You're going to be stimulating your mind. And a lot of people, because they feel that they're adults, that they don't have any childlike curiosity, or that they've suppressed that side of them, they think for a lot of people, they end up staying in the same position in life. They don't ever reflect on their own life or question how things are, or want to learn things, right? For me, my personal development journey, I want to say, truly began when I started asking myself the deep questions of like, who am I? Like, who am I truly? Like, why are we here? What is the purpose of this existence, right? And as I started going down sort of like that little rabbit hole, right, I began learning more about myself and the world around me. And gathering that information has brought me closer to the answers, right? And because I now have a greater understanding of everything, I'm now more comfortable in my own skin, and now I have a greater idea of what I want to do and what I feel needs to be done, right? And it just brought greater clarity to myself and to how I see the world. And that's because I was just simply curious. That's just because I was asking the questions that led me on a journey to find the answers that I had these questions from an early age, but I didn't necessarily know which direction to take, or like these were probably some questions that I had innately that like I didn't fully verbalize until I became older. And then from then on, that's when I began my journey to learn. And from then on, right, it has brought me so much enlightenment and so much joy to know what I know now, because now I have a greater understanding of how this all works and why we're here and the purpose of it all, right? And that's because I decided to operate with that level of curiosity. See, and you can see it yourself in the real world, right? Like it's more normal and common for people to talk about other people or to talk about events that are happening in the world, right? And people love to always be up to date with the newest TV show, the newest movie that has come out. And it's good that, that can serve as like a source of entertainment. But like what's truly important is having discussions about ideas, right? Having these type of conversation where many people don't ever have with other people, right? And when you bounce off ideas, right, these like if you come across a new idea that you haven't thought about before, that can change the way you think, that can have you see something in a way or from a vantage point that you haven't ever previously seen that thing, or like you can think about a situation completely differently that you haven't thought about because now you have a brand new perspective about something, right? Like this is how it all works. This is how you constantly get better and improve, and that's operating with childlike curiosity. It's like if you're ever building something, say it's a business, or say you're building a YouTube channel, right? If you're starting off new, let's say you're doing YouTube, right? You start off new. Sometimes you have to push a couple buttons, right? Sometimes you have to try some new things and experiment to see what works, what you feel works, what you feel doesn't work, to figure out what your style is, right? And that only happens when you decide to be curious, right? And you don't have to beat yourself up if something may not, like, let's just say you post your first several videos and you would like to get traction, and like, let's just say you didn't really get much traction. That's okay, right? Think about how many times babies, when they were crawling and they tried to walk, think about how many times they stood up and just lost their balance and fell, or like they took a few steps and then fell and then started crying for 5 minutes, and then after they stopped crying, they just got up and try again because they forgot that they fell the first time, right? Like, you need to operate with that same level of curiosity and worry less about being so hard on yourself. Like, you also want to operate with that childish, sometimes, like in certain cases, right, with that childlike mind as well, of not having to take things personal, right? Like, just so many people see the world as like just super serious, and I get that. Trust me, I get that. But like, you're here to have fun, right? So you can take a deep breath, you can relax, you can, if things may not appear to be on schedule right now, that doesn't mean that it's not on schedule, because God's timing is perfect, right? Everything is on schedule. You're running your race at the speed that you're supposed to run it. It's not dictated by anyone else, right? For the things that are important to you, for the things that mean something to you, operate with that level of curiosity. Strive to learn as much as you can about yourself, because most people, they become so distracted by the world itself that they don't ever actually understand who they are, like truly deep down who they actually are. They don't get to spend much time with themselves. And to me, it's different to say spend time alone versus spend time with yourself, right? A lot of people, they don't like spending time with themselves because they think that they're alone, and they don't like being alone. But it's not being alone, it's appreciating yourself and your own company, understanding who you are, what it is that you really want, what it is that makes you happy, and being proud of that and working towards bringing out the best version of yourself. This is all important, and it's all important because, remember, that childlike curiosity, this is the desire to learn, and that stems from just not knowing or not understanding something. And it's okay to not know or not understand something, right? People just think that when they become adults that they have to know all the answers, and that they already have all the answers, and they become know-it-alls. So because they become know-it-alls, their learning stops. They don't ever they're no longer on that journey to acquire information, or to be open-minded, or to have a change in perspective. And that's why typically people remain the same person for the rest of their life, rather than striving to become the best version of yourself, right? If you can change something about you, even if it's something like your attitude, if you can improve your attitude, that will make you a significantly better person, because the people that are closest around you are going to appreciate you more, and other people are going to begin wanting to gravitate towards you. Because if you're happy, if you're smiling, if you're showing up with the right energy and the right mentality, guess what? Other people want that as well. Other people are going to want to surround themselves with you, because they also want that for themselves, and they're going to begin questioning, why are you like that? So they're going to want to like learn from you and associate themselves with you, right? Even a change like that can have an extraordinary positive impact in your life. It can. And that comes from wanting to learn, wanting to grow and get better, right? As you investing in yourself is always going to be the greatest investment you can make, and you will only do that if you approach life with a curiosity and just accept that you are not going to have all the answers, or matter of fact, accept that you don't know anything. And if you believe you don't know anything, then that is the perfect opportunity for you to go out and learn, for you to hear different opinions and different perspectives, to decide on what will suit you best. Because at the end of the day, many of us have ideas and beliefs that do not serve us, and yet we still believe it as truth because we've gathered all this information to support the claim. But a lot of times these are faulty beliefs that are not beneficial to us, and yet a lot of people don't go out of their way to change that, right? Like, you never stop learning, you never stop growing. But for people, they choose to put themselves in that position, right? And if you were to operate from a level, from having childlike curiosity, then you are constantly going to grow, right? There's a reason why some of the most successful people in the world, like the billionaires, there's a reason why, and even like world leaders and stuff like that, right? There's a reason why they're always reading. They're always reading because they always want to see if they can grow and get better, if they can improve, if there's some way that they can start doing things better than previously, or if there's, right, like there's always going to be something that can be changed in order to continue growing. And so most adults fall into the trap of thinking that they've already know it all, so they don't ever have to like learn anything new, that they have life all figured out, when it's never all figured out, right? Like you're always going to be in a position where you can do things better, where you can always improve, and you can only do that if you decide to be curious. So operate your life. Don't always just take life so super serious, right? Remember, life is meant to be enjoyed. So operate from a place of joy, but also, you know how like kids, because they're curious, sometimes they might say certain things that would come off offensive if an adult said it, but because a kid said it, it's like, you know, that that's not their intention, right? You want to operate with that childlike intention as well, of saying, hey, you know, like, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. So let me go out and learn and see where it takes me, right? Like, if you had that mentality, you can go really far in life, because then if things appear to not go in your favor, you're still going to smile and you're still going to say, well, that's okay. What can I learn from this? And if you learn something new, then you can take that new thing you learn and apply it to your life, and then learn something new and then apply it to your life. And then you keep doing it until you keep growing and then getting better, right? That is the point of this life. The point of this life is to have fun, is to enjoy this experience that we have here. And for a lot of people, they're not enjoying their life because they're struggling with life, because life just feels so real with all the problems and all the struggles that they're dealing with, that they can't possibly think that life is ever going to be any different, or that it can be any different. And I'm here to tell you that it can. That life can be easy going and smooth sailing, because that is the case for a lot of people out there, right? And life can always be getting better and better and better, right? That can happen if you decide to continue getting better and better and better, because as you continue improving, then you'll transition from a place of being problem oriented to solution oriented. So then if any problems were to arise, you're not going to panic, you're not going to worry, because you know that there's a solution out there. And if you may not know what the solution is right now, you can still utilize your childlike curiosity, wink, wink, right, to figure out a solution for that and then improve your life. So if, to other people, it's going to look like you're just a magician walking through life, because you're not really worried or concerned about the things that like most people are serious about in life, right? Like, you'll be walking through life so easy and seamlessly, and even if disaster were to strike, you won't even bat an eye, you won't even be worried, because you know that somehow, some way, life is going to figure itself out. But regardless, that a solution does exist, or that you'll figure out a solution on how to fix whatever problem you're dealing with and to move forward, right? So this is the beauty in life, maintaining that childlike curiosity. For a lot of people, they've suppressed it entirely since they become adults, right? And they needed to handle all these responsibilities and they don't got time for anything else. But the truly successful people are the ones that operate with this childlike curiosity. It's the people who've accepted that they may not be the smartest in the room and that they may not have all the answers, but yet they're going to constantly try new things and experiment and learn and invent new things, and basically step into their role as a creator to, you know, to then operate with this environment, or operate with the world as their playground, right? These are the people that truly make the noise, if you will, in this world, that really push the needle and move the world forward. And you have the power to also do the same. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to 1 million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.